Yeah. We'll begin the Gemara today, Samach Zayin Amud Aleph, 4 lines from the top of the Amud. It's continuing what the Gemara mentioned before regarding the daughter of Nagdim ben Gurion, that even though her father was so wealthy, but at a certain point, Rav Yechon ben Zakkai saw her looking for barley by the dung of animals. So the Gemara brings another story similar to this. Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, Amar Rav Elazar bar Rab Tzadik. Erev ben Achome. This is a expression of a shvuah, like I would not see the consolement of the building of the Beis HaMikdash. In Loiri Yisiya, if it's not true that I saw her, the daughter of Nagdim ben Gurion, she was in Akkay. This is a different place than the other story, which was outside Yerushalayim. And there, she was collecting barley from the hooves of the horses. When I saw this, I read on her condition this pasuk. If you're not going to know to act and be the way it's appropriate for a beautiful woman, what's going to happen to you is you're going to go out by the heels of the sheep. Re'i is gid yisayach. How does he touch the word gid yisayach? Al tikri gid yisayach ella gvi yisayach. For you just to sustain your body, to look for some food, you're going to have to go out into the field by the hooves of by the heels of the animals to find yourself some barley, like the story happened with her. Going back to the Mishnah, we learned in the Mishnah regarding to the two previous Mishnayos, regarding the halacha of money or valuables that a wife brings into the marriage, and it's written into the Kesubos. So when it came to money, the Mishnah says that when you write the value of the money to the Kesubos, the husband has to add a third, because he gets this money available to invest, so he has to add. When there's valuables that she brings into the Kesubos, so then he has to deduct from the value of it a fifth. The reason I mentioned when we learned the Mishnah is because they inflate the value. Just to impress the husband, they inflate the value. But there's also another reason, which Rashi mentions, and that is that all these valuables that are brought into the marriage, because they're going to be used, so naturally they're going to lose some of their value. So the whole point of writing it into the Kesubos is that if she gets divorced, or she becomes an almana, she's going to get it back. But the value naturally goes down. So therefore you have to deduct a third, or a fifth actually, from its value. So in connection to this, Amar Rav Shimon bar Abba, Amar Rav Yechanan. If she brings into the marriage pieces of gold, Shaman Oisai, we evaluate what this gold is worth, Varehu Kishavya, and we leave it as it's worth, written in the Kesubos. We don't add a third, we don't deduct a fifth, as its worth is. Gold is not something which is used like a currency. It's not money that's made to invest on one hand, so we don't add a third. At the same time, gold is also not something which depreciates in its value over time. It's going to keep its value. So therefore, we leave it as is. The question was asked on this from a Braisa. The Braisa says, Azov, when you bring gold into the marriage, Harehu kekelim. It's halacha regarding how we evaluate, how we write it into the Kesubos. It's like kelim, like vessels. Now, what does this mean, like vessels? My love, don't you think this means kekelim shel kesef? We write it into the Kesubos like silver kelim, the pachsi. Their value depreciates, and therefore we write in the Kesubos, we deduct a fifth, and the zav is the same thing. So it's a question of Rav Shimon bar Abba. And says the Gemara, Loi kekelim shel zav de loy pachsi. The Braisa is saying that gold is kelim, meaning it's golden kelim, and the value of the golden kelim does not go down, and therefore, like Rav Shimon bar Abba said, we leave it as is. Im Kain asks the Gemara, Kekei love mi bayale. The Braisa shouldn't just say that gold is like all kalim. It's very unique. It's like golden kalim, which is different, and the value is what it is. Why does it say kalim, stam kalim? Another question there's another Braisa that elaborates more about the story with gold. And here in this Braisa we could see that at least according to the Tanakama, the zav is not treated like it's different than all other valuables. So the Braisa says, Zav, the Tanakama says, Zav areu kekelim. Gold, in other words, pieces of gold, has the halacha like kelim. Now, what exactly this Braisa means by saying areu kekelim, the Gemara is soon going to explain. Din rei zav, but if it's actual golden coins, areu keksafim, so then it's like all other money. Money is something that you could spend and invest, and therefore the husband has to add a third, that is, to this golden dinarim. Rav Shimon Gamliel says, if it's a place where the minig is not to be pirated, meaning it's not something which you use to circulate as money. In other words, when you get these, the Gemara is soon going to explain regarding what Rav Shimon Gamliel is speaking about, whether he's speaking about the Reisha or the Seifa here, but the point is, Rav Shimon Gamliel is saying, if it's something that is not going to be used to redeem for coins and to use it in the circulation, to spend and to invest, so then Shama Noisan, we evaluate it for what it is, and we leave it for the value that it is, because it's not something that you could spend and invest, so he doesn't have to add a third to it. The value is for what it is. Now the question is, the Tana in the Braise, there were two cases. First, the Tana spoke about gold, pieces of gold. Then the Tana spoke about dinrei zahav, coins, the golden coins. So Rab Shimon Gamliel, when Rab Shimon Gamliel talks about whether it's something that goes into circulation, is it like coins that you can invest? On which part of the Braise is he going on? Ilema Seife, is he going on the Seife where it speaks about these golden coins? So, and what is he saying? That only if it's the minig is that you paid it, that this goes into circulation, so then you're going to have to add to its value. But if not, you don't. But Meklal, does that mean the Tanakama Sava? And the Tanakama's opinion is that these golden coins, even in a place where they don't redeem it and it's not used in circulation, even then you're going to say that you have to add to its value. Like coins that's used. But why? Hole nafki. It's not something that people spend and invest and treat it like money. So why would the Tanakama disagree with what Rab Shimon Gamliel is saying? So we can't say that Rab Shimon Gamliel is speaking about coins. Elala vareisha. So don't you think that Rab Shimon Gamliel is going back on the first case of the Braisa, which is speaking about pieces of gold, not golden coins, but pieces of gold. And this is how you have to read the Braisa, and this is the meaning of the machlokes between the Tanakama and Rab Shimon Gamliel. The Tanakama says, Zohov, pieces of gold, Harehu kekelim. They have the halacha of kelim. What does he mean to say when he says it has the halacha of kelim? My kelim shall kesef. That it's treated like kelim of kesef, meaning like any other valuables that you have to deduct a fifth of its value. Just like kesef is something that depreciates over time, pieces of gold is the same thing. That's what the Tanakama is saying. Rab Shimon Gamliel, on this, Rab Shimon Gamliel said, Harehu kidinarin shalzav b'makim shenog shalei lepartan. That these pieces of gold, if it's not used to circulate, to invest with it like money, so you don't have to add a fifth to it, you don't have to deduct or add a third, that is, or deduct a fifth from it, because it's something that does not get used in circulation, but its value also does not depreciate. So therefore, the value of what it is remains as is, and you don't have to add or deduct anything from it. So this is the pshat in this Braisa. So what do we see over here? Basically, this point that Rab Shimon bar Abba said, that pieces of gold remain as is, and you don't have to add or deduct from its amount, is a machlekes here. The Tanakama is saying, no, it's like silver, and it does depreciate, and you do have to add, you do have to deduct, that is, from its value. But Rab Shimon Gamliel is the one that says that no, if it's not circulated and you don't use it as coin, so therefore you leave it as is. But the question is from the Tanakama, which we paskin like the Tanakama, on what Rab Shimon bar Abba said, that the pieces of gold remain as is. Answers the Gemara. So the Gemara says, really, Rab Shimon Gamliel is not arguing on the ratio of the Mishnah regarding pieces of gold. Pieces of gold is taka, like Rab Shimon bar Abba said, that the value remains as is. Nobody argues about that. But the argument between the Tanakama and Rab Shimon Gamliel was regarding the golden coins, the dinrei zahav. What is their argument? So the Gemara's question before was, if it's used in circulation, everybody should agree that you have to add a third to it, and if it's not, so then everybody should agree that you don't. So the Gemara explains, the argument is that the nafki al yedei hadchak. This is kinds of coins that people don't usually use it, but if you're pressed for money, so you only have these golden coins, you will use it. And that's the machlokes here. So one opinion over here is that since if you've pressed for money, so you will use it, so therefore you do have to add a third to it. But then Rab Shimon Gamliel is saying, since people do not usually use these golden coins to spend and invest money with it, so therefore you're not going to have to add a third to its value. So that's the argument going on the case of the coins, and it's coins that are used al yedei adchak. Another pshat, or we can say kula Rab Shimon Gamliel. Really, the entire Braisa is all only Rab Shimon Gamliel speaking. And there's something missing in the words of the Braisa. This is how you have to read the Braisa. Zov harehu kekelim. The halacha of gold is like kelim, and this means, like Rab Shimon bar Abba said, that it's like kelim, that its value, it's not more than its value, not less than its value, it remains as is. Dinrei zav harein keksafim. You have golden coins, so it's like money. You have to add a third to it. And now, on this, Rav Shimon Gamliel himself is speaking, and he adds, when do you have to add a third to it? When these golden coins are used and they're circulated. But if it's not used and people don't invest with it like money, so then so then you leave it as is, like all other pieces of gold. The value doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, you leave it as is. Divrei Rav Shimon Gamliel. So this is all Rav Shimon Gamliel speaking, and it says here exactly what Rav Shimon bar Abba said. Rav Shimon Gamliel Aimer, Rav Shimon Gamliel said, "B'mokim shenagu shaler leparton, shamanaysan vareim b'shavyeyen." That if it's something that people do not circulate and use as coins, so then you don't have to add a third to its value. People don't invest it, and therefore the value that it has remains as is without adding anything. So this answers the question from the Braise over here, this machlokes between the Tanna Kama and Rav Shimon Gamliel. But the Gemara goes back before it asked the question that we didn't answer yet. Both in this Braise and in the previous Braise, when it's saying that the gold is like kalim, if it means to say that it's like specifically like gold kalim, that the value doesn't change, so why doesn't it say kalov, like gold, not stam kalim? Kashya, that remains a question. But the Gemara now brings a different pshat in this Braise. The second Braise we quoted there, the Gemara says, I'll tell you another pshat. What are we talking about over here in this Braise? Bedave priche. We're talking about gold, small pieces of gold. These small pieces of gold, their value will go down because when you handle it, pieces chip off and it doesn't remain in good condition. So over here, regarding these pieces of gold, the Braise is saying arein kekelim, that it's treated like other kelim, not gold itself, and therefore you're going to have to deduct a fifth from its value. Ravashi says similar b'mamla or b'mimla. This is talking about gold dust, which is something also that doesn't keep its value because the dust it flies around, it loses its value. So it's specifically, the point here is, before Rav Shimon bar Abba, the name of Rabbi Yochanan, he said when you have like big, what is it called today, a bar of gold, you have a nice bar of gold, that's something that the value stays. But if you have these small pieces of gold or dust of gold, that's something that the value does not stay, and therefore you're going to have to deduct a fifth from it. Amar Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yanai said, "B'samim shel antuchya." The b'samim in the place antuchya harehen kiksafim. They have a halacha like money, because over there b'samim is something which is so commonly traded that people mamish treat it like a currency. So you can invest with the b'samim very easily. So you have to add a third. When you get this in a ksubah, you're going to have to treat it like money. Amar Rav Shmuel ben Nachmani. Similar thing the Gemara now says regarding many different places. So Amar Rav Yochanan, the name of Rav Yochanan, Gemalim shel Arbia. The camels in Arbia, so Isha Goive Parna Mehem, a woman, when she collects from the Ksubah, she collects Parna over here means an additional percent. This additional percent that we said that you have to add a third. So these camels of Arbia that are so easy to trade, so also this is something that the husband could very easily invest with, so he has to add a third. Rav Papi said, Hani Tusvi de Bei Michsi. These garments that come from Bei Michsi, or maybe in Bei Michsi, over there as well, Isha Goiva Parna Mem, a woman will get another third. It's very easy to invest with them. Omar of Papi, Hani Saki de Rudya, the sackcloths of Rudya, or the Ashli de Kimchainya, or these ropes of Kimchainya, Isha Goiva Parna Mem, a woman will collect an extra percent for giving this in the Ksubah. Omar Rava said another din here now. Merei Shava Minna, in the beginning I thought, Hani Arnaki de Mechuzah, these money chests that they have in Mechuzah, and it's like a money chest which is full of money. Isha goive parna mehem. A woman could collect a parna from it. Over here, the expression of parna means the collection of a ksubah. Before parna meant a percent, but over here parna means just to collect her whole ksubah. The chiddush of what the Gemara is saying is, it goes back to something that we learned already before. Usually for a ksubah, you could only collect from karka, from a property, not from any movable valuables. But over here, this chest of money that they had in Mechuzah, so it's something that the woman could collect her ksubah from there. And what's the reason? The Gemara explains, my time, asamchatayu alayu, because we know that a woman relies on collecting from this chest of money. Usually valuables, a woman does not rely on collecting from it, because it's something that it's here today and not here tomorrow. A property is here to stay, so that's what she relies on collecting. But these chests of money, a woman relies on collecting from it. That's what Rav Papi said. or Rav actually said. But then he says, Kivin the Chazoi, but then what I saw is the Shakli Luhu, that these women, if they get paid Kesubos with this chest of money, so they take it, and then Benafki, they go out, as soon as they find a property to buy with this money, Zavni Buhu, they go and buy the property. Rav says, so now I said to myself, really what they're relying on is to have a property. That's where they know that they'll have something valuable to keep. But this chest of money that they have, they don't really rely on it. Because look, even when they would collect it, they would immediately use the money to go and buy a property with it. Person, on a regular basis, he's marrying off his daughter. He shouldn't give her less than 50 zuz. But if the father-in-law is marrying her off and she's not giving her anything, so now the husband shouldn't say to himself, or others are good, it's kishatavi, when she comes to my home, then I'll give her my garments and I'll dress her and give her what she needs. Ella, in such a case, you should provide for her and dress her even when she's still by her father. Similar, person's marrying off a Yisayme, shouldn't give her less. This is talking about a gabbai tzedakah that's paying for a chasana. Shouldn't give her less than 50 zuz. Im yash b'kis, if the wallet of tzedakah has more money available, we give her according to her dignity. We give her on her level, more than even 50 zuz. Amar Abaye said, Chamishim zuzi pshiti. When the Mishnah talks about 50 zuz, it's talking about 50 zuz pshiti, which Rashi says is zuz medina, which is an eighth of zuz tzuri. You had this before in the Gemara. How do we know? Mimai midiktani seife, because what does the Mishnah say afterwards? Im yesh bikis, if the wallet of money for tzedakah has extra money, so we give her more than 50 zuz according to her level, according to her status. From Rinon, my kiss, when the Mishnah says kiss, Amarach said, what does this mean? If the wallet of tzedakah, the fund of tzedakah has more money for her, we give her more money. Now, if you're going to say that when the Mishnah says that the tzedakah should give 50 zuz, it means literally 50 zuz, im yash bekis, and then if you're telling me that if the fund of tzedakah has extra money, you give her more, how much do you give her? 50 zuz, if it's real zuzim, that the zuz of the tzuri, the real expensive zuzim, that's already a lot of money. Mishnah is saying you give her a basic minimum amount of zuzi pshiti, much less, it's only an eighth, and then if you have more, you give her extra. You have a yasim and a yisayma, a boy and a girl, they're coming to ask for tzedakah, money for food or what they need. You give first, if it's not available for both, you give first for the yisayma, and then you give the boy the yasim. Why? The man, the boy, he can go knocking on doors and collect for himself. But the woman will not go around to collect for herself. Similar, yasim v'yisayma shaboli nase. A yasim and yisayma that are coming to get from tzedakah money that they need to get married. So masinas a yisayma, first we marry off the yisayma, v'achkach masinas a yasim. And then we marry off the yasim. Why? The embarrassment of the woman that is waiting to get married is much more than the embarrassment of the man. We learned Yasim Shabalisa, a Yasim that comes to get married. So we have to rent an apartment for him, a house for him. We prepare him a bed, and all other furniture that he needs. And we marry him off to his wife. We learned this from the pasuk regarding tzedakah. The pasuk says, what do all these words mean here? You have to give him enough of his amount of what he's lacking, what he needs. So you have to give him a house to live in. Asher yechsa, what he's lacking, it's a table, a bed. And loy, the word loy means isha, that's to marry him off to a wife. And v'chein oime, es a loy is a connectai, that uses the term loy when the Eibusha creates chava for Adam. We learned, what do we learn from this pasuk? That you give him what he's lacking. You have a mitzvah to provide for a person that's poor for his parnasa, for what he needs. But you're not obligated to give him tzedakah to make him wealthy. When it says that you have to give a person for what he needs, what does needs mean? That's everybody according to what he's used to. If he's accustomed to having a horse to ride on and a servant that runs ahead of him to serve him, you have to provide that for him as well. And Omru Alav Al Azakin Shalakach La'ani Ben Tevim. He bought for a poor person that came from a nice, wealthy family. And Tevim Echad Sus Lirkav Alav. He bought for him a horse to ride on, the Eved Lodas Lafonov, and also a servant to run in front of him. And Pamachas once Lematza Eved Lodas Lafonov. He couldn't find a servant that would be ready to run and serve this poor person. And the Vedatz Lafonov Shloisha Milan. Hillel Azakin himself did the work for this poor person, and he ran ahead of this to serve this poor person 3 million. There was a story with the people living in Galil Elyon. They bought for a poor person, came from a good family, from a wealthy family, Echad, Mitzipairi, from Sipairi, Litra Basar. They bought for him a Litra Basar. For every day. So the Gemara says, Litra Basar Mayra Busa. That amount of meat is not so much. So what's the Chiddush that they got him this amount of meat? Amar Ravuna. So Ravuna says, Litra Basar Mishal Eifis. This was a litra of meat from fowl, from chicken or whatever, which in that place, in that time, this was much more expensive than beef. So therefore, it is a chiddush that they got him this. Or what this means is that they spent the amount of coins, the money, weighed a litra for this meat that they bought. So that was a lot of money that they spent to buy this a lot of meat over here. Rav Ashi says another pshat. Hasam kfar katan hoya. This was a small village. Every day they would have to shecht another animal to have this fresh meat available for him, and the rest of the animal, they didn't even have enough people to eat from it, and it would go to the garbage, but all to be able to provide this amount of meat that this poor person was accustomed to. There was an individual that came to Rav Nechemia on Malay. So Rav Nechemia said to him, what are you eating? And this was a person that was poor, and he would get fed from tzedakah. On Malay, so he says, fat meat and old wine. So Rav Nechemia asks him, do you want to come and eat together with me, and I'll give you some lentils? That's what I have. He couldn't give him what he was accustomed to. Gilgal imay ba'adashim. He gave him to eat lentils and mace, and this person wasn't used to eating this food, and he died. Amar Rav Nechemia said, Oy loy lezeh shaharga Nechemia. Woe to this individual that Rav Nechemia killed him. In other words, Rav Nechemia wasn't saying oy about himself, but Rav Nechemia was saying oy about this person that he died. So the Gemara says, Adarabba. On the contrary, Rav Nechemia should say about himself, Oy loy Nechemia. He should blame himself. Look, you knew this person was accustomed to better food and you didn't provide for him. So you should say, oy for yourself that you didn't provide him this food and you killed him. And says the Gemara, Elo, no, in this case he said to himself, this person should have not been so particular and got himself spoiled to this point that he couldn't eat anything other than his fat meat and old wine, and that's why he really brought this upon himself. It's interesting because before the Gemara said that whatever a person is accustomed to, you have to provide him even to his standard, a horse, and to run ahead of him. But Kanir over here, to this extent, on such a level, and to the point that he dies because of this, that's already, you can only blame himself for this. How would the individual came to Rav Amaloi? So Rav said to him, aside, what do you eat? Amaloi b'tarnagaylis petuma, a stuffed chicken or stuffed geese, chicken, v'yayin yoshan, an old wine. On Malay, so Rava said to him, but you're getting fed by tzedakah. Other people that are feeding you these expensive meals, are you not concerned about the fact that you're pressing other people to give you these expensive foods? On Malay, so Rava said, you think that the people that feed me, I'm taking their money, I'm eating from them. I'm eating from the Eibishter. The Tanina, we learned in the Braisa, what does it mean when we say in the Pasuk, the eyes of all hope to Hashem. And va'ata noisan lahem es achlam. Hashem gives them their food. Achlam is a plural term. And then it says be'itai in its time, using a singular term. Why does it be'itam loinema? It doesn't say in their time, like the beginning of the pasuk. Ela be'itai, in its time, singular. Why? Melamed, this teaches me, shekol echad ve'echad, noisan HaKadosh Baruch Hu parnasasai be'itai. Hashem is the one that provides for every individual his parnasa exactly what he needs in the time that he needs it. So it tells Rava, I'm not putting myself as a weight on anybody. It's Hashem that provides for me. What happens? Adahachi, and meanwhile they're having this conversation. Nasoi achse de Rava. Rava's sister arrives. Lechazile tleis rishni. He didn't see his sister for 13 years. So she came, so she brought him something special. She brought him this stuffed chicken and v'yayin yosha, and old wine, exactly what this individual was accustomed to eating. Amar, so Narava said, "Mai de kamal, look what came in front of me here, something unusual." Amalei, so Rava said to this person, "Nesi l'cha, I spoke too much to you. I had complaints to you that you're eating this. Look, Hashem Taka provided for you exactly what you needed at the time that you needed it. Kum, achol, get up and eat the food." Tan Rabbanan learned in the Braise, ein loy, person that has no money. But he doesn't want to accept tzedakah money that anyone should support him. So what do we do? So we tell him here, we're just giving it to you as a loan, and we're not giving it to you as a gift, and then he'll accept it. And then then later we allow him to keep it as a gift. This is Rav Meir's opinion. Chachamim say, we give it to him as a gift, and then afterwards we give it to him as a loan. The Gemara right away asks, this doesn't make sense. He's saying that this person that does not want to accept any gifts from anybody, you're giving it to him as a gift, but he's not going to accept it. So Rava says, what the Chachamim mean to say is, you first have to try to convince him to take it as a gift, as tzedakah. And if he does not want to accept it, afterwards, so then you'll do what it says, that you give it to him as a loan, and then you won't necessarily demand him to pay up. But first you have to try to give it to him as a gift. What's with an individual that yashlai? He has his own money. But he's such a miser, he doesn't want to use his own money to feed himself for what he needs. So now he wants to take money from tzedakah when he has his own money. So here we do the opposite. So we give him the money from tzedakah as a gift. He's going to think that he's receiving it as tzedakah, but then and then we go and we take from his money, we take from his properties, and we get paid back. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to go and collect from his properties for what he just used from tzedakah, so then he's going to realize what you did. He's not going to ever want to take from tzedakah again. Rav Papa explains what he means is la'achamisa. After this person passes away, and we have a cheshbon of how much he took from tzedakah, even though he had enough to provide from himself, so we make a cheshbon and we take back from his estate, from whatever he used. Abshimon says, Yeshloi, this individual that has his own money and does not want to feed himself, we don't attend to him, he should take care of himself, and we're not concerned about this. Going back to what we said before, a person that does not have money of his own and he does not want to take any tzedakah. So Rav Shimon says, so what we tell this person is, bring a collateral. In other words, sort of pretending as if he's going to borrow the money. So we tell him, bring a collateral. And then you can take money from us. Kadesh is a tazuach, so that he'll accept this, so he'll be confident to accept this. He'll think that it's a loan. Even if he doesn't bring the collateral, we're still going to give him the money. The pasuk says, Havet Tavitenu. So the Gemara, the Braisa begins with the first pasuk, Havet. It says Havet Tavitenu, which literally means you should lend money to people. So the first time it says Havet means Zeh she'ein loy. This is a person that does not have any money of his own. Ve'ein roitzel le'esparnes, and he does not want anybody to support him. So we do like we said before, we give it to him as a loan, and but then we allow him to keep it as a gift. That's the first time have it. It says again, ta'vitanu, you should lend money. This is the opposite. Person that does have money, but he doesn't want to spend his own money on himself. So we do like we said before, we give it to him as a gift, and then but really, we're only lending him the money. That's why it says Tavitanu, because we're going to collect the money from him back after he passes away. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Chachamim say, a person that has money and it does not want to feed himself, ain niskakin loy, we do not attend him at all. So ve'lamani mekayim Tavitanu. According to the Chachamim, why does it say an extra lashon of Tavitanu? This double lashon is the way people speak. Havet Tavitanu, lending, you should lend money. It's not. There's no extra drasha here. Gemara says a few stories here about tzedakah. Mar Ukve hava anya b'shvivusei. Mar Ukve had this poor person living in his neighborhood. The hava ragel kol yoma. He had a minig every day. The shadile arba zuzi b'tzinura de dasha. He would throw him 4 zuz in the pivot in the door where the hinge goes in. He would throw money in for him every day over there. Yom echad, one day, Amar, this poor person said, let me go and watch and see who is doing for me this favor, who is dropping this money here for me. So that day, Marukva was late coming home from shul. Asya the Bisu Ba'dei, his wife came to see where he is, and his wife came together with him. And they went now together, him and his wife went together to go drop off the money by this poor person. Kivin the Chazua, the Kamatzele Ledasha, as soon as they notice that this person is looking after them at the door, so they're going to discover, the poor person that is going to discover who it is that's giving the money. So Nafik, again, Kivin the Chazua, the Kamatzele Ledasha, this poor person saw that Mar Ukva and his wife are coming there to the door to put the money there. Nafik Basrayu, he went after them. He went to see who this is. Ra'at Mekamei, they ran away from him and they were going to hide from him. So where did they find to hide? Ailila hu asuna. They ran into an oven. They have a grufa nura. The fire was shoveled out, but it was still a hot oven. And have a kamakali and kari the marukfa. Marukfa is the heels. His heels of his feet were on the oven, on the bottom of the oven. He was getting burnt. Amrele the bisu. His wife tells him, "Shkol karach oisav akaroi. Take your heels and put it on my feet, so that you won't get burnt." Meaning that his wife, she was such a tzadekis that her heels were not getting burnt. Cholash daite. So Marukva felt bad about this. Why doesn't a miracle occur to my wife and not to me? Amrale, so his wife tells him that I have a biggest chus than you. Why? Because when I give tzedakah, so I'm found in the house, and poor people come and they find me in the house. And when I feed people, the hana that I give them, they can benefit from what I give them right away. Ready food to eat. You give tzedakah, and then they have to go and buy food and prepare. But the tzedakah that I give is much more hana. That's why I have a bigger chus than you. Now the question the Gemara asks is, but umay kula hai, what's the big deal? Why did they run away from this person that they didn't want to see, that he should see who's giving him tzedakah, to the point that they mamish put their life into danger here, running inside an oven? So the answer is, Mazotra Bar Tuvia said, Amri Amarav, the name of Rab, Amri La Amarav, Hunabar Bizna Amrav Shema Chasidiv, Amri La Amrav Yechim Mishon Rav Shema Ben Yoichi. Noyach Leila Adam. It's better for a person, she yimser atzma l'techkiv shenei, she should be ready to die, to go into a hot furnace of fire, and he should not embarrass his friend. Over here, this person would be embarrassed if he would notice who it is that's giving him tzedakah. From who do we learn this? Minala and mitamar. We learn from Tamar when she was taken out to be killed because they thought that she was Mizana, and really it was Yehuda himself that she was pregnant from, and she did not disclose this fact. The Chesiv, she says, he says she was taken out and she did not disclose who it's from, and she just waited to see what Yehuda is going to say, so she didn't want to embarrass him. Another story. Ma'ukva hava anya b'shvivusei. Ma'ukva had a poor individual living in his neighborhood. He would send him 400 zuds every Erev Yom Kippur, once a year. So what happened? Yom Echad, one day, he sent his son to deliver the money for this person. Also, his son comes back home. Mamalei tells his father, this person doesn't need your money. Omar. So his father Mokfa says, "My chazis, what did you see that you know that he doesn't need this money?" So he says, "Chazoi the komezal fila yayin yashan." I saw that he's sprinkling old wine over the floor. Amal the floor was not finished floor; it was just sand. So they would sprinkle water that the dust shouldn't come up. But very rich people wouldn't just sprinkle water; they would sprinkle wine. And if you were really rich, you would sprinkle old wine. It gives a good aroma. So this person is using old wine for such a thing. He doesn't need your money. Amar, so Mazutra had actually an opposite reaction. He says, Mefane kula hai. This person is so particular, his needs are so great that he even needs to have old wine for such a thing. I finu v'shadrinu. He doubled the amount of money that he would usually send him, and he sent him back, and the shadrinu in LA sent him back to give him the money. Ki kanicha nafshay. When Mar Ukva that has passed away, Amar, he said, I sili chushbenu tzedakah. Bring me my calculations of how much tzedakah I gave in my lifetime. Ashkach, and he discovered the Haviksiv Bey that he saw, the cheshbon he had was Shivas Alfi Dinri Siyanki. He gave 7,000 dinrim from Siyanki. Siyanki, Rashi says, is a place. The Aruch says Siyanki, you read it, it's very good coins. That's the amount he gave. Omar, so Ma'ukve commented and said, Zavdoi Kalili. The food that I'm taking along, in other words, this tzedakah, this merits of the tzedakah that I'm taking along with me on the way, going up to Shemayim, is very light. It's not enough. And it's a very far way that I have to go. Come, he got up, he gave away half of his money to tzedakah. Fragt the Gemara, but Heichi Havid Hachi, how did he do this? Rabbi Loi said, we learned before, Be'usha Iskino. They were Masakin and Usha Mevazbez, a person that gives out money for tzedakah, Al Yevazbez, Yesim Mechaimish, shouldn't give more than a fifth for tzedakah. Says the Gemara, this is during a person's lifetime. And the reason is, Shem Yared Min Achasav, he might lose his money and then he finds himself relying on others to support him. He can't support himself. He gave everything away. Here he's passing away, so it doesn't matter that he's giving away half of his money to other people. Another story about tzedakah. Rab Abba Zuzi Besudre. Rab Abba, so he would tie a handkerchief and he would put money inside, and he threw it in the back of him, and he would make himself available for poor people that they can take the money from there. But he would also turn his eyes to see if there are people that are not poor, people that are just thieves or ramoyim that are coming to take money. Rab Chanina, there was a certain poor person that he was accustomed to sending him 4 zuz komaila Shabbat every Erev Shabbos. One day, he sent money to this individual with his wife. Asoi, she came back home. Amrele, she says to Rab Chanina, he doesn't need the money. My chazis. So Rab Chanina says, what did you see that you know he doesn't need the money? So she says, Shami, I heard someone was telling her, to the wife in the house there, what are you going to be having your meal with today? They were discussing the tablecloths. Betli kesav or betli zav? Is it going to be tablecloths white, or is it going to be colored, more like golden colored? So in other words, they're using very expensive tablecloths. So this person doesn't need your money. So Amar, Rab Chanina says, yeah, it's like a true, he doesn't need my money, but Hainu da Amar Rabbi Elazar. This is what Rabbi Elazar said. Boyu v'nachzik toivel ramoin. Let us come and realize the favor that these ramoin, these people that take tzedakah that they're not supposed to, are doing for us. Shil malehein, if not for them, hayinu chaytim b'chol yaim. We would be sinning every single day. That the poor person that calls out to Hashem and you don't give tzedakah properly to people that deserve tzedakah, so then you're a sinner. But over here you have these Ramoin that seduce us into giving tzedakah to them. So now we could blame the Ramon. We could say, look, we're holding ourselves back from giving tzedakah because of these people that are fooling us. So that's... So therefore they're sort of saving us from an Aveda. Let's just finish off the Indian here. The Gemara says, V'tani Rab Chia Barav Midifti Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha that Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha said, what do we learn from this pasuk? V'kara alecha l'Hashem v'ayeh b'chachet, that kol ha'maylam einov min ha'tzedakah. Person that turns his eyes away from someone that needs tzedakah, ki'ilu oived avedas kechavim. It's like he's serving avodah zarah. Ksiv hacha, here the pasuk says, Hisham l'cha pei yedavim l'vavcha b'liyav v'gaimer. Be careful. This is the pasuk of it that speaks about tzedakah. This pasuk in the beginning it says that your heart should not be bliyal, inappropriate or whatever, not behaving properly. So here it uses this expression of bliyal, uksiv hasam, and by avodah zarah as well it says yatzu anashim b'nei bliyal. So mala alan avodas kechavim, just like there bliyal means avodah zarah. Afkan, so to hear a person that's turning a blind eye to someone that needs tzedakah, avodas kechavim. He's compared to someone that serves avodah zarah. Okay, so this is the sugi. We see the tremendous chusam of giving tzedakah.